Okay, so following Shannon Sharpe's IG Live incident the other day, a few people in the sports media industry began to chime in and question the authenticity of his live stream.
Here you go, baby. Here's that quarter pounder with cheese.
Oh, yeah. Look at that sauce. Look, oh, man.
Okay, so those were just a couple clips the day after Shannon Sharpe accidentally went on IG Live while getting busy. A lot of people like Cameron and Jason Whitlaw called this a hoax and said that Shannon did this intentionally. I don't know, I don't really use Instagram much, so I have no idea how it works, but according to them, it's nearly impossible to go through all the steps of setting up your IG Live. Anyways, Shannon and Ocho had an emergency nightcap live podcast that drew in a couple 100,000 live viewers, I believe. So this was a huge trending story for the past couple days. Unk poured cold water on the notion that his IG Live incident was staged or intentional and that he wasn't tech savvy and has never gone on live before in the past. I think when it first happened, one of the guys on his team said he was hacked, but then Shannon came clean on his emergency podcast. So that's how things ended. Some jokes were made between him and Ocho about the incident and a lot of bragging from Unk, but one thing I did notice, and someone correct me if I'm wrong, but it did appear he had a new sponsor for Nightcap called Row, which is like some Viagra type pill, and he was kind of pushing that at the beginning of his emergency podcast, so I found the timing kind of interesting. The company appeared on the emergency 1 hour podcast and the one before, so it may be like a new partnership, but someone correct me if I'm wrong. That being said, I just found it to be an interesting timing. Maybe it's a coincidence, who knows. Anyways, I'm going to read you little parts from this article from the Daily Mail. It starts off by saying, while ESPN decided to keep Shannon Sharpe on board after he accidentally went live on Instagram while having sex, other partners and guests are on the verge of severing ties with the First Take host. Okay, so let me stop it right there for a second, because a couple years ago in 2021, ESPN had this exact same issue with Paul Pierce, who was on the morning basketball show, and he got fired by the network after he was filming himself at his residence in the presence of strippers. I think he was drinking and smoking weed on IG Live in front of these girls, and this got the Hall of Fame NBA star fired from ESPN. Yet they weren't going to part away with their star talent this time, so many people thought this was a double standard. The article would then go on to say, as the scandal continued to circulate, Sharpe took to the show on Thursday and revealed how people and companies are refusing to be affiliated with him after the incident. Okay, so I know a lot of you might be thinking, yo, he's getting a lot of attention and trending right now. Why would companies not want this? Well, put yourself in the position of these companies. I believe currently Nightcap is partnered up with sponsors like BMW and DraftKings. These are huge companies that don't want to be associated with certain type of content. Yeah, it wasn't on his podcast, but nonetheless, this incident is still associated with Shannon, who's the face of the show. Maybe smaller companies won't care, but any publicly traded company that has shareholders and a board to answer to are going to have problems with this IG Live incident. I think Shannon messed up big and is now in a messy situation. Okay, now I'm going to play you the clip of Unk addressing how much he lost from this supposed fake IG Live video.
Ocho, people trying to say it was staged. So let me say this. Today, I just lost an interview on Club Shay Shay. That would have been the most visible person I would have been able to interview today. They said no. We got 6 and 7 figure sponsors and advertisers saying, well, Shannon, we don't know if we want to continue this relationship. I'm about to be, my company, Shay Shay Media, is about to be a free agent. Okay. So that means Nightcap and Club Shay Shay, I'll be able to take it wherever we want to go, Ocho. Could stay with the volume. That's a very, very strong possibility. I'll stay with the volume. So let's just say, y'all want to think I'll be willing to risk that. So next 5 to 7 years, potential 120 to $200 million. You think I would be willing to risk that to do this? So let me ask you out there. Tell me what you would be willing to risk. Would you be willing to risk 100 to $200 million just to refute a rumor? And half of you going to believe what you're going to believe, because it's almost like a Trump supporter. No matter what you tell them bad about Trump, they're going to believe the good. So I just want to know, I want y'all to get in the chat and I want y'all to tell me. You tell me the rumor that you would be willing to refute and lose 100 to $200 million. Look, it was my IG Live. And I get it, because a lot of stuff on the internet is staged. It's staged for attention. But you mean to tell me you think I'm willing to risk 6 and 7 figure sponsor deals, 6 and 7 figure advertising deals, and between 100 and $200 million just to refute something a rumor that you're going to believe one way or another, it doesn't matter, but I'm going to lose that. And they're like, you know what? That man was willing to lose $200 million. Ain't no way he gave. Y'all, how dumb do you guys sound? I mean, I want you guys, because there are some guys that have, because everybody that does podcasts, Lavelle, they don't make money. You don't make money unless you got advertisers and sponsors. I got like 10 people on staff. Most people that all operate a podcast ain't got 10 people. I ain't talking about no part-time. I'm talking about full-time. Even when we're not shooting, they getting paid. When we took off Ocho, they got paid.
Wow, that is crazy to hear. I mean, on Club Shay Shay, Unc has had some huge guests. Yeah, the Cat Williams one was the most viewed, but he's had huge names on his show. I can't even imagine who he was about to have on, LeBron or Tom Brady, or who knows, maybe it was President Trump. I do recall him telling Cam Newton on his podcast that was one person he really wanted to interview. That being said, this is pretty crazy to hear that potential podcast guests are even pulling out of his show. This is a pretty big deal, and he really needs to do some damage control because something that happened in his personal life is now affecting the livelihood of his business. $1 million sponsorship deals pulling out has gotta hurt his pockets. It's crazy because he just gave Ocho shit for being late and unprofessional, and now a few days later, he basically cost his company a couple $100 million in sponsorship deals. Honestly, I don't even know why he's broadcasting this stuff publicly, because you're going to just deter potential new sponsors from contacting you and maybe pushing other existing sponsors to cut ties with you. Anyways, I personally think maybe a year or so all this stuff dies down and companies will come knocking back on Shannon's door. I mean, culturally speaking, I don't think anyone is bigger than Shannon Sharpe right now, and we all know how these companies want to get in with black culture. Anyways, guys, what do you think about all these sponsors pulling out? Did Shannon Sharpe fumble the bag for good?